Good day. I'm happy to greet you all. Media Center Ukraine, Ukrinform continues operations, and we will speak about informational security during the war. I'd like to introduce our speaker, Taras Shevchenko, Deputy Minister of Culture and Information Policy of Ukraine. Please, Taras, the floor is yours. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start with congratulating us on receiving the candidate status of entering the EU. And my position just a few days ago was somewhat changed, and now I'm Deputy Minister of Culture and Information Policy on issues of European integration, meaning that my authority is also media sphere, informational security, and also have your integration aspects. And it's very pleasant that it happened at this moment when it's very topical, very important, and this historical pivotal decision was made. We received 27 A's, 27 yeses from the countries, and Ukraine Moldova will move to full membership of the EU. I'm convinced this decision gives high hopes and great stimuli for us to continue fighting. It's a symbolic decision and a pivotal moment and civilizational choice. Ukraine always was Europe, 1,000 years ago and now, and joining the European Union, I'm convinced will have a lot of importance for in the future. And it's a signal to Russia, who the EU is with, that we are a part of the European civilization, that we are being supported, and will be supported. Always, I'm convinced. During the next 6 months, Ukraine has certain tasks on approving legislation, and among 7 points that the European voiced that have to be implemented, first priority, 2 are related to activities of our ministry, and 1 is related to informational media topics. That's also the point of our informational media is related, firstly, implementation of clauses of directive of audiovisual media services, meaning that right now it's a law of TV and radio. In the EU, it's called a different way, and it's a wider scope, because speaking has changed on top of classical formats, TV and radio. It also moves us to online and offline, also non-linear media, that you can receive services when you need. And we have some delay, have some lag. We have priorities and plans to bring our legislation closer to the rules of the EU, and now I'm convinced it will be done because, and I think, as well as perspective of receiving visa-free status, was a great stimulus for reforming the country, and all the visa-free status things were difficult but quite fast. And I'm convinced that now the reforms that will be done according to the European integration will change Ukraine and will help us change the media legislation of Ukraine, bring it closer to the European standards. Second part that is related to the competences of our ministry is related to finalizing the reform of legislation regarding national minorities, in particular considering the Venice Commission recommendations. There are two big tasks for our ministry. And indubitably, we're convinced that Ukraine will join the EU. 2 other informational and security topics, I would like to briefly emphasize the scope of our tasks that our ministry is working on. We have the Center of Strategic Communications and Strategic Security that works on fighting against disinformation, has a Telegram channel that has over 100,000 of subscribers. We cooperate with international organizations, also with similar centers in different countries, and has a big role. Filter on media knowledge, conduct campaigns on disinformation, explaining how to consume information in these uneasy times. Press center that we're in, Ukrainian Media Center, Ukrinform, also is a part of the state initiative. And here it appeared just from the initiative of our minister and with a joint effort as Ukrinform and experts, activists, NGOs, and personally for me it will be very pleasant after the idea appeared to open it, see how well it operates. And every time when I see pictures and notifications in media from here on this background, this banner, I have a feeling that I put also some some effort into it, that it was done by a big team actually. Also helping foreign journalists and representatives of foreign media in the context of their activity, of their offices, and opening their offices here. We had meetings here and separately and also in the ministry, and possibly sometimes even helping solve some maybe minor issues. But we think that's important. It's important to demonstrate that foreign journalists, that the country gives the opportunity, that we're open. We have challenges, but we are open for cooperation and for communication. We want to continue cooperation. Also, I would like to recall that just in recent days, 6 package of sanctions of the EU became in force, and 3 big channels of Russia were sanctioned. Russia 24 and others. It was notified before, and they became in force just this week. And we will not stop on this. We will not stop on this sanction package, and we will insist that other Russian TV companies are included in this, and propagandists are included in the package of sanctions, because sanctions, they're important. And also the responsibility of Russian propagandists for fueling the war. Just yesterday we had a discussion here and the position of journalists and NGOs regarding the necessity to convince about the criminal role of Russian propagandists and bringing them, having them responsible. And we support that idea, and we share that idea. Also this week, important laws were approved. You probably know about them. Informational space and protection of informational space is improved. More quotas for Ukrainian music, restrictions for Russian musicians, restrictions for Russian books, white lists of Russian musicians, Russian performers whose music could be able to played in Ukraine. So we spread in all the directions with journalists, with restrictions, legislational restrictions, and for the future period, as I've mentioned, one of the important streamline directions will be European integration. All the requirements to us from the EU will be fulfilled with high speed. It's the task of the presidents. We filled out the questionnaire very fast, and this has helped to fastly receive the candidate status. And the same fast way, we will implement other recommendations of the EU, so the decision about full membership will be fast. Taras, you said about passing the law that restricts usage of Russian music, Russian print products on the territory of Ukraine. Will there be any problems in implementation of that law in this operative level, or are we prepared to move to implementation of it? And we have something to replace the contact regarding books, and how prepared are we, I think? I would firstly say that on music, we have the analysis that quotas, they're over implemented, really. The quantity of Ukrainian music have grown a lot since the start of the war, and also use of Ukrainian language overall. So the quotas and the rules, they are possibly even lagging behind. It's not necessary to regulate everything by laws, of course, but in this matter, we think this topic is really important, so we needed this law, and it was topical and timely. Could there be some operative problems? Sure, there could be. We might correct the legislation if the problems occur. It's the principle when a lot of things are done fast, and sometimes we have to make necessary corrections, yes. We will have to see how the whitelist works, because for some Russian performers, there is an opportunity to maintain Ukraine's space if they support Ukraine, if they condemn the Russian aggression. And I think in the process of implementation of those procedures, some questions might arise, but we will operatively work through them. And this law will operate during the martial law, or will we return back as the martial law is lifted? I think that now is the moment when it's necessary to move step by step, and firstly to define the steps for the closest period and for the closest time. We don't know for how long the martial law will maintain, but we're targeted to move step by step. If necessary, the parliament fastly approves these decisions, so it could be prolonged, it could be added, etc. Could inform Vitaly Golod. There is a draft law regarding renewal of printed materials, print media, financed by the government. Isn't it a step back from decentralization, making less states media that was following the European requirements? Thank you. Five seconds. As far as I know, in the parliament, there is one draft law that's related to print of the Ministry of Defense. This is a military newspaper. More than that, looking at the current legislation, military newspaper was allowed. They were just provided for a time of the anti-terrorist operation. Anti-terrorist operation has ended, and there are no legal grounds to publish the newspaper. And the majority of stakeholders agreed to continue the newspaper, and I didn't see a problem to allow Ministry of Defense print one newspaper. There is a request from military. Even with a lag, it conveys the news, but in many places, our soldiers don't have access to internet. They cannot use cell phones, and they need information. So I personally don't think that it's a step back in allowing to print one newspaper by MOD, and I support this draft law. No more questions, so I thank you. Taras Shevchenko was with us. Thank you all for joining us, dear friends, and next briefing will happen at 1 o'clock, and Ivan Fedorov, head of Melitopol, will join us. Thank you. Join us.